My name is Reverend Laura Williams, and this is my story. My family, the Lawson family, moved here from South Boston, Virginia. I was born in Person County, but my family moving from South Boston, we grew up on a farm out in about not too far from Carrington Lane, which it is now. And then 6 months later, we moved into the Leesburg area. We had a lot of love, is what I remember. Some people would have said that we were poor, but I remember the love. I remember having a lot of farm area where we could have a lot of area where we did lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of trees where there were apples, and we fished a lot. Our grandmothers taught us to fish. We went to pick potatoes, and we had horses and cows. We learned how to milk cows. So they taught us a lot. So that's why I remember the love from that family. And my siblings, they worked tobacco, while my mother and grandmothers taught us how to cook. So that's what I remember from my childhood. And then from going to school, when I graduated, I went to school at Winston-Salem State. And then from there, I didn't stay there very long before I transferred back here to Piedmont Technical College. And from there, I graduated from Shaw University. Undergrad degree, from Piedmont Tech, it was criminal justice. And then in Shaw University, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in business management. And from there, came back here for a little while, and then on, I studied at Liberty University for my divinity school. Well, I struggled with the calling to be a minister, as most ministers do. You struggle with that calling because you want to feel like you're worthy to do this calling, and you want to make, God's calling to be something that you want him to be proud of you. So I struggled with that for many, many years. So I wanted to study to be something that God would be proud of me. So I studied his word for several years in divinity school. During that time while I was studying, my son passed in 2011. So I didn't complete divinity school. And so, but the reasons why I wanted to go to divinity school was to make sure that I had the knowledge of becoming a minister. So in between that time, I did do my initial sermon. I did my initial sermon in 2013, and I was ordained in 2015. But even though I did get ordained, I did not finish my divinity school. But I have still been studying, but I haven't completed that part. I believe that I've heard him ever since I was small. I've always had a tugging, but it's just something that you don't want to hear. Because like I said, I've always felt that I wasn't worthy. Why would God call you? What make you feel that you are someone to be telling someone else? And even though I felt like I wasn't worthy, I also knew what his word says, to go out, be his disciple. but it was the part of speaking to someone else, telling someone else what the Bible says. Why me? It was always, why me? Why should I speak the word to someone else? So it took me a long time, even though I was young and I knew what God's word says. Why should I be the one to speak that word to someone else? So it took me a long while. I've always been in Sunday school. I started Sunday school while we lived on Leesburg Road. We went to Sunday school. My mother took us to Sunday school. We went to Sunday school every Sunday. We went to Sunday school at Shady Hill. It was the nearest church to us. So we attended Sunday school. We attended Bible study. We attended church at Shady Hill. I was married at Shady Hill. So, but our home church was Blue Wing, because that was where our family was from, Blue Wing Grove in Cluster Springs in South Boston. So that was our home church. But the closest church was Shady Hill. So we grew up there. So we were always grounded in church. But like I said, and it was always a tugging, but it was always also a war of why should I be the calling? But so when the calling got stronger, and my family was a Christian family, always I have ministers all around me, plenty of ministers. We're connected with the Tucks and the Cashes, and we're connected with the pastors from Blue and Grove, and so we have a connection of pastors all around us. The Loves, there's several pastors in the Love family. So, we have pastors preaching over us all the time and laying hands on us. And my pastor, Pastor Logan. And so I made him aware first that I felt like that there had been a calling on my life. And I expressed the same things to him, that I just didn't feel like that I was worthy. And him being, because he's a teacher. He's a teacher, minister. And so he gave me scriptures to read, just like I was reading and studying. And I expressed the same concerns about women and things that I had heard. And so he asked me to study. He asked me to pray about it. And so we studied together for several months. He wanted me to feel comfortable. He wanted me to feel ready. He wanted me to feel sure. But he said, if the Lord has called you, then this is what you need to do. And I've told him that this is something I felt like I've been running for him for a long time. And so he is not one of these ministers that feel like that women should not be in the pulpit, because he feels like if you feel like a woman shouldn't be in the pulpit, you feel like God cannot do everything God says he can do. But I just, it was always, you always have a devil on one side and you have the Lord on the other side. So it just took much prayer. And it took much, asking the Lord, I just need you to speak. I need you to make this clear to me, if this is what you want to do. And then you have pastors saying women shouldn't be in the pulpit. That was another thing bearing down on me. And I had to really study Deborah. I had to really study Phoebe. I had to really study Ruth. I had to really study the works of Sarah, the works of Eve being the woman to be a helpmate to Adam. I had to study Martha and Mary being alongside Jesus and his works. I had to study all of those women. I had to study Mary being the one to carry Jesus. I had to study those before I could get up in the pulpit and preach, to let me know that Jesus did appoint women to carry his word, to be alongside him. And no matter what the men of today say, that the women did have a part of being with him and carrying his word. Not that it just had to be in the pulpit, but they were ministers to his word. And just because men rewrite and say what they want to say, I had to do what the Lord was calling me to do. And that's when I changed, and that's what I decided in my heart, that I had to do what the Lord was calling me to do. Career-wise, I've been an administrator at the Department of Health in Durham. Currently, I work for a company, an engineering company, Cormatech in Durham, as a commercial administrator. So that's where my degree is in, business administration. So what I currently do there is I do the purchasing. I work with the purchasing department for all of the engineering company, the power companies, and I do their purchase orders. So that's what I'm currently doing. So that fulfills my degree avenue, and I've been there for 13 years. I've always wanted to work with numbers. I've always wanted to do things as far as business. So I've used those as stepping stones, as the ladder to go up to doing what I do now. So I'm very, very satisfied with where I am now. All of those were just to get me where I am now, and I'm very satisfied with those. I am an author, and I have a book published. Is Lead Us Not Into Temptation. Working on my next one, but Deliver Us from Evil. And it's the first one is a book about the sins that not only that we commit in the world, but the sins that we commit here in churches. So it talks about that as people that we get into the church, and we get on boards and committees in the church, but we don't clean ourselves up. But we think that we're okay to get on these boards, but we continue to do the sins that we do. And then the next one is just a sequel to the first one, whereas the sins get us in trouble, but we continue to do them. After we go down on our knees and we ask for forgiveness, but then we turn right back around and we continue to do those sins. So I'm working on the second one to that. So the first one, Lead Us Not Into Temptation, and then but Deliver Us from Evil. Well, what really inspired me to write it was that I was at a funeral one day, and I heard the pastor preach on our dash. And when you're gone, what is people going to remember you in this dash? And I just wanted people not only to remember the good things, but I want people to not remember the bad things. So just because you're in church, I don't want people to just say, when you're in church, oh, I remember them, and list all these bad things. When you become a part of Christ, you want to leave something behind that's good, because you're living for Christ. So when people come into church, you want them to see the image of Christ, especially if you're singing in a choir, preaching in a pulpit, serving as a deacon, serving as a trustee. Don't just get up and do these things just to be doing them. Serve as an image of the Lord. So, and I heard him preaching that sermon. It just something hit me. Don't just do this just to be doing it. Do it as a servant of the Lord. So when someone preaches your funeral, that they remembered you and the things that you did as an image of your Savior. So that's what I want people to do. And it's about this deacon. He was a deacon, but he was doing all these things, and people was looking at him for all these things that he was doing, but it was not godly things. So we should be living for God. So I am involved in, as a nonprofit organization, I'm involved in what's called Lawson International. So as the name says, is international. We have, it's broken up into regionals. So we have a region here in North Carolina. We also have a region in Virginia, and we have regions in the Midwest and Canada, where we support a lot of children and youth. We support them in going to college. We also support and we sponsor them with scholarships to help them go to college. We also support children in hospital. So each of the regions have a youth that we support in hospitals, like St. Jude or Ronald McDonald House. We support children who are hunger and backpack for kids. And we have lots of other sponsorships and abused families and lots of things that we support in that manner. I'm also, and I had, and you go to levels, and I have been the international president before, so I am a past international president of that organization. I am also a member of the Newborn Riders here in Motorcycle Club here in, don't look like a motorcycle rider, do I? But I am. I'm part of that organization here in Roxborough. And that club also support families who go through hardships, and we help support them, people who have had their houses burned in fires, people who maybe go through cancer survivors, or who are going through cancers, people, or maybe even other kinds of hardships. So the Newborn Riders, we have fish fries, you may be aware of that, or stew sales to raise funds to help families who have hardships in that matter. So we are here in Roxborough, and we do, I think we just recently did for an older lady. She was 100 and something years old. So we do bike rides and things of that sort to support families in that way. I am the associate pastor of Lawson Chapel Baptist Church. I came to Lawson Chapel because my husband was here. And like I said before, I was a member of Blue and Grow. So my husband was here, and so I came here, and I began singing in the choir. And I sung here probably about 20 years before I joined the church. And they didn't know I wasn't a member for about that length of time. And then I decided that we needed to be members of the same church. And so I joined Lawson Chapel. My children was here, and I wanted us to be members as a family. And I joined the church. I first became a member of the missionary, and then I wanted to work. Became a member of the culinary board, and from there, just other thing. I just wanted to work for the Lord. I was a trustee member. Then I taught Sunday school, and I just wanted to do whatever the Lord wanted me to do. And it just feels like a family now. We just work together. We just love each other, and whatever needs to be done, we do it. And the pastor here is great. The members here are great. So it's not a matter of what your title is. We all do what needs to be done. And we fellowship together. We go out to eat together. We go movies together. So it's just a family. In society, women, I think that they should be recognized the same way that God felt like Eve should be a helpmate to Adam. Women are very, very important. They are companionship, and they've been companionship. Women have always held up the church. When men were out working, the women were there. They've always provided meals for the men. They've always taken care of their clothing. They've always taken care of the children. They've always taken care of teaching. They've always been the backbone. So men should give them praise, and the praise that they deserve. Women have been the strength as far as mind. Men may be the strength as far as physical, but women are the strength as far as mental. And you just cannot take that away. And we should accept one another for what we are. And you cannot break down a woman for that. And I think that we should work together and not against each other, and not put each other down, but build each other up. And not say that a woman can't be in a pulpit, not say that a woman can't work a job simply because she's a woman. If God can accept a woman for all the things that a woman did, then men should do it as well. If God could say that Deborah should be a judge and help a man out, then men should do it today. So women are very important, and we all, just as blacks, should all get along. We all, as men and women, should accept the fact that we all should be important to one another, and women should accept the fact that women should grab all the knowledge that we can as women and men and get along and try to work together. First of all, in Person County, I look up first of all, I look up to my pastor. He's a great mentor to me. He's very knowledgeable in the Bible. My husband is really supportive. He's been a support to me ever since I've told him that I've had to call. My daughter, very supportive, and my family. There's a vast number of pastors that I call on. I cannot call them all by name, but, Reverend Cash, great. He doesn't know that I look up some of his sermons, but I do. And I listen to him and his wife. There's a lot of them. I listen to a lot of ministers on TV, and there's so many people that help us along the way that you just can't call them all by name. We have so many ancestors that we're riding on their shoulders because they've done so much for us. So it's just so many that I just give honor to. And there's so many pastors before my pastor that we just, I just praise and I thank, even the ones who build the bricks around this church, that we are able to worship today. I thank my mother for teaching me to praise God, to pray. My mother prayed every day. I saw her read her Bible so that I could read my Bible. My grandmother, I saw her just walking around the house, moaning and praising, so I could learn to do that. And I know that she got that from her parents. To when you don't know or don't want to just sing songs out loud, you can just moan and pray. And so that's something that we learned. And I got from my grandfather to work hard if you ever want to have anything. So it's just so many people that taught us along the way to be the Black people that we are. And so I hope that those are traits that I can give my daughter, to pass on to her children. And I just want to, when people see me in a store or see me somewhere, to always carry myself in a way that they could I don't want to ever carry myself in a negative way that a young person will say, that person acts that way. I always want to carry myself in a godly way that somebody can see me. I pray to envision growth for the Black people. Right now, I see hindrance of everything that a Black person wants to accomplish. I pray that Black people will get more education. I saw yesterday that there are so many Black First in a program that they're trying to get off the ground, Still Rising, where there's a lot of Blacks that have built something as their first. I just learned about this nonprofit here. I pray for more of that in Person County. It just seems that Person County is so far behind some of the other cities and states. I pray for more first in the Black community here. More Black on the city council, more Black on the county commissioners, a Black mayor, more Blacks in the in everything. I want a Black restaurant, a Black-owned restaurant, a nice restaurant. I want to see a pool here. There's been a hindrance for that. I want to see more Black principals. And so I want to see more Black togetherness here in Person County. And it's going to take the Blacks to bind together more. And it can be done, but we got to pull together. But I live in Durham, but I'm here every week. And so, I'm here every week because I care about Person County. So I want Person County to work together. I want us to educate our children more. We have a disconnect with our children. So I want to see more growth in our children. And that's what I want to see for Person County. I want the girls to read more. I want them to study more. I want them to have more respect in themselves. When I worked for the Department of Health, I saw a lot of the girls not respecting themselves. I saw the girls being more concerned with what the boys wanted them to do. I saw a lot of girls pregnant, starting at the age of 10, because they felt that they could hold on to a man that way. So I want the girls to have more respect for themselves. And I want them to get an education, because it will take them further than a baby will take them. So that too is a part of disconnects, because if it starts at you having a baby at the age, or getting pregnant at the age of 10, 11, and 12, then it carries on to your child getting pregnant at 10, 11, and 12. So I would like to see the girl have more respect and dignity in themselves, so their children will have more respect and dignity. I want this thing with children, having children, to end, and getting off of welfare and getting off of government assistance. I would like for this to end. And I would like, and that's another thing with the Person County, start some type of program, a mentoring program for our youth, to teach them to get disconnected from the system of having babies just to get this money, and training them and teaching them that they could do better with their lives. So that's the type of mentoring we need.